Let me ask you a question. If your editing software crashes right now, how much work would you lose? 5 minutes? An hour? Maybe an entire project? Most editors think they have a good workflow until something breaks. And by the time you realize that your workflow is bad, it's usually already too late. So in this video, I'm going to teach you 11 editing habits that professional editors have and use to protect their projects, to speed up their workflows, and to avoid stress eating in front of a corrupted file at 2 a.m. Been there, done that. Don't update your editing software mid-project. I repeat, do not update your editing software mid-project. Now, most editors will eventually learn this the hard way. And I know, I get it. Updates can be tempting. There's new features, new fixes, shiny buttons, but one update can completely break an otherwise stable workflow. And this is why I personally have turned off auto updates entirely. And yes, this means that sometimes I'm a few versions behind, but I would rather have a stable workflow than risk breaking an active project and lose my shit. It's totally fine to update after you have finished a project, but please don't do it mid-project. And if you're American coming to me that it's project, not project, shh, I'm gonna keep calling it project. And if your software does crash mid-project because you're ignoring my tips, autosave suddenly becomes very important, but only if you've actually configured it properly. Now, most editors have autosave turned on, but they still never check how often it saves, how many versions it keeps, and where those versions are stored. Let me tell you, there is nothing worse than your software crashing mid-edit and losing hours of work. This happened to me a few weeks ago while I was editing, but thankfully I have plenty of autosaved projects. Autosave is not enough because if your SSD dies or your project corrupts or your computer just completely melts down, those autosaves will disappear with it. So don't just close your laptop, put your feet up, crack open a liquid death at the end of the workday to treat yourself. First, create a backup of your project and save it on a separate drive. Because if your drive does die, or your software decides to ruin your day, or if you have really bad karma, all of the above, that one backup can save your sanity, but more importantly, your reputation with your client. Because please don't gamble hundreds or thousands of euros on one project file. And when that client asks for changes, do not immediately start editing on your timeline. I'm saying this because I've made this mistake before, and sometimes I still do this when I'm rushing. Oopsie. But it is dangerous because suddenly an old version is gone and there's no clean way back. So instead, what I want you to do is to duplicate your timeline and version your edits first. This will give you a safety net. You can compare versions, you can go back to older edits if your client changes their mind again, and you just stop destroying your own work. And by the way, if you're new here, hi, my name is Lila. It's so lovely to meet you. On this channel, you can learn anything about editing, storytelling, and creative workflows like this one. So feel free to subscribe if this sounds interesting to you. All right, let's learn about how to avoid broken projects, shall we? Project. A lot of us editors, we start our projects perfectly organized before we enter chaos. This is a safe space. I'm guilty of this too. I drag and drop files from my downloads folder into Premiere all the time, and I'll tell myself that I will organize it later. I never do. But the problem is that most editing apps rely on file paths, I find that really hard to say, to locate the media. So the second that you rename, you move, or you reorganize files after importing them, your editing software suddenly has no idea where they went. Inside most NLEs though, you can rename clips inside the project panel because that doesn't affect the original source file or path on your machine. Just don't do it after you've imported that file into your editing app. But okay, what if you already made that mistake? What if you finished a project, you organized everything nicely to archive it, and you revisit that project later? Or maybe you switch computers or another editor sends you a project and now you get hit with all of these missing media warnings. Whatever you do, do not, I repeat, do not click on offline if you can't find the file yet. Click on cancel. There is a really big difference between the two. In Premiere specifically, clicking on offline basically tells the software, yes, these files are gone, stop asking me about it. which is not great if you actually want to relink them later. But when you click cancel, it just simply closes that window temporarily, meaning that Premiere will still ask you to reconnect the files next time you open the project. And if you do end up with offline media in your project, it can happen. There is one specific Premiere trick that has saved me so many headaches. I've definitely had moments where I thought I relinked everything until it was time to export, when Premiere very kindly suddenly warned me that offline media still existed somewhere in the project. It won't tell you where, just that it exists. And then you're stuck zooming endlessly and endlessly through your timeline looking for that one random red clip. Instead, what you can do is you can use Premiere's search tools to instantly find every offline clip on your timeline. Hit Ctrl or Command F, then in the drop-down menu, choose media type, type in offline, and then find all. This highlights all offline clips on the timeline all at once, and then you can simply right-click once, link media, and reconnect everything properly. You can also do this inside the project bin if you want. Click on the search bin icon, then select media type again, type offline again, and Premiere will now automatically create a search bin containing every offline clip in that project. This is so much better than having to play hide and seek with missing media for 45 minutes. Once you stop fighting broken projects all the time, you start noticing smaller workflow problems. Small workflow habits can save a shocking amount of time over long projects, and this is the kind of stuff that doesn't really feel important until you realize you're repeating the same tiny actions hundreds of times per week. One of those examples is learning about track management. Instead of clicking on locks or visibility buttons one by one, most editing software have ways to control multiple tracks at once. For instance, in Premiere, you can hold Command or Control and swipe across track locks or visibility buttons to affect multiple tracks at once instead of having to click on them individually. Now, I highly recommend spending some time looking into track management shortcuts in your editing software of choice. Most editors barely touch them, but when you learn a few, your workflow will become so much faster. And while we're talking about timelines, I actually think that a lot of editors obsess way too much over making them look clean, because personally, I disagree. I actually think that these overly clean timelines can become harder to navigate on bigger projects specifically. Dedicated tracks make projects so much easier to understand now, but also later. So having separate tracks for dialogue, for music, for sound design, for graphics, for subtitles, for adjustment layers, text, it creates consistency inside the timeline. So even if you're only placing 3 graphics on one track during an entire edit, you'll still instantly know where to find them later instead of hunting through your timeline trying to remember where they went. This is especially helpful when you're revisiting projects weeks or months later, or when you're co-editing with someone, for example. A workflow trick that I picked up from other editors is placing music tracks underneath an empty locked track. This creates a visual divider inside the timeline, and it just makes projects easier to scan, but it also helps reducing accidental edits or misplaced clips, for example. Some editors do the exact same thing for sound effects. They'll put them underneath a locked empty layer, especially on larger projects where timelines just start to get chaotic very quickly. And this is one of those tiny workflow decisions that quietly just makes editing feel more organized and therefore also less stressful. And after all of that, imagine accidentally ruining the export itself. This one is a little bit more advanced, but I see a lot of editors misunderstand it. Blindly enabling use previews during exports can totally affect the image quality depending on how your preview files are configured. In Premiere, many editors check this box because they assume that it simply makes the exports faster, which it does because it literally says it does. So yeah, sometimes that's true. But if your preview codec settings don't match your export workflow properly, you could accidentally be exporting lower quality preview renders instead of fully rendering the timeline again. When it's configured properly, yes, it can save massive amounts of export time, but when it's misunderstood, it can quietly hurt the image quality without editors even noticing. Now, editing is all about pacing and knowing when to cut and why. So in this video, I go over common techniques with real examples. I really hope to see you there, and please make sure that you subscribe. You. Oh my god, wat de f gebeurde er?